What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 4 of Entrepreneur Spotlight. Welcome to the Endless Entrepreneurs YouTube channel, and I am Luke, and I have a special guest to me tonight I'm very, very excited about. Got to actually meet her in person in Austin for the first time 2 weeks ago at the Green Room Meetup, and just a wealth of information. I'm really pumped for the content we're going to talk about tonight because there's a lot of stuff I don't know about. But we have Tanya from Thrifty Treasures joining us tonight. I'm going to toss over to her to give her introduction.
Okay, hey guys, I'm Tanya, also known as Thrifty Treasures here on YouTube. I am, I guess, a part-time reseller, but I enjoy going to thrift stores and the garage sales and then flipping my finds on places like eBay, Etsy, Amazon, and sometimes some of the local sites as well too.
Awesome, awesome. Well, first off, thanks for taking the time to join me tonight. I am really excited to talk about something before the show. I'm excited to talk about something other than clothing and eBay, since that seems to be the only theme that I can ever talk about. So I'm really excited to dive into some of the niches and the expertise that you have. I'm going to give a brief shout out here, though. If you haven't checked out Tanya's YouTube channel, Thrifty Treasures, go there. You can even go right now while you're listening and subscribe. Everyone needs to subscribe, or I'll be very disappointed in all of you watching. I'm assuming most of you are subscribers, but if you're not, you need to get over there, show some love. The content she has is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I'm honored that you would ask me to be on your channel, so thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. So you gave a brief overview, which I appreciate, but I want to jump in just why did you start reselling? That's what I always like to kick off with every guest is what motivated you, what started you, what got you down the path of reselling? Okay,
well, back in 1999, I was having some health issues. So I had left my place of employment and I was staying home, and I had bought a few items on eBay. And I thought, it would kind of be fun to maybe start selling some stuff, and I did. And one thing led to another, and it just became something I was doing all of the time.
That's awesome. So basically, from that timeline you just gave me, when I think of that, I've been selling on eBay, seriously for a couple of years. I feel like that's a long time. In the scope of things, I am a newbie compared to the amount of time you've been selling eBay. So that's very impressive. That's awesome. So let's talk about real quick, just to give the audience who doesn't know you a perspective of all the different platforms you sell on, because this is what I think this is what I'm so impressed about. So if you can just, for me, to rattle them off and talk about each platform that you sell on. Okay.
I sell on eBay, Etsy, Amazon. I do merchant fulfilled, and I also do FBA as well. And I also do merch. I do a little bit of merch, and I also have an antique booth.
That's so impressive. I have a really hard time just managing my one eBay business, and you have all those things going and juggling. So hats off to you. And we're going to dive into each of those as the show goes on here, because I have lots of questions. I mean, those are areas I know nothing about, so I'm pretty pumped to dig a little bit and find out some more. So let's just kind of move on. And guys, we will have Q&A at the end. I promise I'll leave time just for some Q&A for Tanya, for myself. We'll just take whatever questions you guys might have. So just save them to the end. And per normal format, just put them in, big capital letters or question or something before it, so we know. So let's see, what if you had to pick a favorite item? So I'm not even going to say niche. I'm going to go right down to item. If you had to pick your absolute favorite item to sell, what is it?
Okay, well, we all know that's, for me anyway, that's ever changing, right? That's what keeps it so fun.
Absolutely.
So for me right now, it's jewelry. Okay. Definitely.
It's definitely jewelry. All right. And with that favorite item, what's your favorite platform to move that on and to sell it on?
Well, normally it would be eBay, but I'm really getting back into Etsy again. So anytime I list something vintage on eBay, I will have Etsy open at the same time, and I'll go ahead and cross-post it over there as well. Awesome. So my items are getting double exposure. So
cross-posting, I was just going to ask that. I'm glad you addressed that. So I'm going to table that because I have a lot of questions about cross-posting in a little bit.
Okay.
So advantage of Etsy versus eBay for that niche, for jewelry only. Would you give advantage to, which one would you give? I know you're liking Etsy more now, but like from a broad perspective, like what are the benefits versus not benefits of that?
Like over one platform or the other?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I've been hearing a lot of people say, and I'm finding it to be true too, you can really get a little bit more money for your items over on Etsy than you can on eBay. I don't know why, but people just seem to be willing to pay up a little bit over there.
I wonder if it has to do with the audience of the people on there. I was watching College Picker his YouTube channel the other day, and
yeah, I love Eric.
yeah, I love Eric, and I saw that he sold that. It was like I think it was a rowing, like a crew sweater.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a jacket. Was it a sweater?
It looked like it was like a crew. It was a sweater, or maybe it was like a lightweight jacket. I'm not sure what it was, but he sold it for like, it was like $200 some, and I looked at that, and I mean, I would have passed it over every single time, everywhere I was.
Yes.
And I was like, it has to be the audience on Etsy drives that value.
Yes, I agree. That was an insane sell.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just give a shout out quick to his channel. He, if you haven't seen Eric's channel, this College Picker, go check it out. But he just had, I think it was on his birthday too. On his birthday,
what a nice gift.
Yeah, it's like $220 like crew sweater that he found. So it's like a vintagey type event sweater. It's pretty cool.
Amazing.
All right, so let's keep on rolling here. So do you operate? So you sell on all these platforms, and you obviously are stockpiling inventory all over the place. Do you operate out of your home, or do you have? I mean, let's exclude the antique booth. Obviously, you store stuff there, and we'll dive into that. But where do you store most of your inventory?
Okay, well, like my death piles are here at the house.
Yeah.
So, like most of the stuff, the bigger items that are listed are going to be in my storage unit. So I get them out of the house. The smaller items like books and jewelry, I can store those here at the house. Jewelry, it's so easy to store, and it doesn't take up a lot of space.
Well, that makes sense. So I heard storage unit, which is always intriguing to me because I know a lot of sellers out there use them, but I haven't talked to a lot of other YouTubers out there when I've done shows who actually have them. And they either seem to have already made the leap to have like a facility, or they just all do it out of their house. So tell me more, like how long have you had your storage unit for?
Oh gosh, probably for a couple of years. I had one unit for a while, and then I thought, well, this really wasn't working out, and then I left it. But then I had to come back again because I really did need it, and I wanted to scale up a bit. So, and it's been great. I love it. I love getting that stuff out of the house so I can focus on what I have here and to get it listed.
Do you find that since you've had it, you're more productive? Just because there's like less clutter, or is it just easier to know where things are because of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's a good point. But I do have a sourcing problem. I source too much and don't list enough.
You're an opportunist. You don't have a sourcing problem. You're an opportunist. You can't pass
thank you. I like the way you think.
Nice spin on that, right? So what size is your storage unit, square footage wise?
I think it's like about a 5x10 size.
Okay.
It's not too big, but it's not too small either. So I mean, I can walk in there, and I've got shelves in there with all of my stuff. So it's just the perfect size.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I made the leap when I moved to Charlotte. So I used to live in New York, and I had like a 3-bedroom house, the basement, and all my stuff down there was great. And then I made the plunge down here, and we moved into a 1-bedroom apartment. And it was like I had no choice. So I went to like a 10x20 storage unit with just bins everywhere, no shelving, just threw all the crap in and hauled out. So I can relate to the storage unit. I love it now. And now that it's starting to get organized, I actually just picked up a second one for my bulk order. And I'm a big fan of the storage units. It allows me to feel bigger than I am, and also to stay decluttered. So
exactly. Yeah, 10x20, that's big.
Yeah, it's great. We're lucky here in Charlotte. I don't know how it is for you guys. Storage is super cheap here. So like it's like 70, I think I'm paying 73 or 74 cents a square foot. I mean, it's not temperature controlled or anything, but
yeah.
Is storage at a premium down there for you guys now? Is it expensive, or how is it done?
What do I pay? I think I pay like $75, and it's climate controlled.
Oh, that's actually really cheap. So
yeah.
I mean, wow. That's actually not bad at all for that size. Very cool.
Yeah.
And now, do you have temperature control just out of preference for yourself, or because the stuff you store there needs it?
Kind of both. I also have a few seasonal items in there, like decorations and stuff for Christmas and Halloween. So yeah, we need it. And pretty much everything around here is climate controlled. I mean, with the exception of probably some U-Hauls. I doubt they probably are, but I don't know.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mine are non-temperature control. That's like the only regret I have. It's cheaper for me, but man, when you go at lunch and you're in dress clothes picking up stuff.
Oh, I bet.
So here to talk about seasonal stuff. I want to touch on that. So since you sell on so many platforms, how much do you focus on stocking up prior to each season? And if you do, how far in advance do you do that?
Well, I mean, definitely if I'm somewhere like, say, for example, at a garage sale and they've got all the coats are $1 and it's, April 1st, I would consider definitely buying all of those and maybe putting them in my storage unit until late summer. And so I definitely stockpile for seasons.
I saw you post a bunch of stuff on Halloween decorations the other day. So is Halloween?
Yes.
So are you big on holiday decoration stuff, or was that a one-time thing that I just caught, or are those hot movers for you?
Well, a little bit of both. Every October, I have a witches and wine party for my girlfriends, and we just visit and drink wine, and of course, I decorate the house like crazy. And everybody has to come dressed like a witch. So I am on the hunt for witch decorations and Halloween decorations year round.
That's awesome. So you're okay. So a little self-motivated. I like that. That sounds like a really fun time.
Right.
Like awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, let me just keep moving and grilling you here because I'm starting to learn. I'm enjoying this. So we got the storage unit. You've got some separation, but mostly out of your home, which is great. Do you operate the business by yourself, or do you have any help, any family members who chip in? Like, describe that for me. Or are you just kind of one man show or one woman show, so to speak?
I am a one woman show.
Yeah, all right. My hat's off to you on that. Lots of respect. Do you prefer it that way? That's my next question. I always follow up with, do you prefer it that way?
Right. In a perfect world, ideally, I would love to have an employee someday, somebody to help me with creating the listings. But the more I think about it, I don't know that would really be for me, because I like to be in control of everything that's going on. So I don't know. I kind of enjoy it just being me.
That's fair. Yeah, I have some control issues. I'll openly admit that. I like the one man aspect of it. I've thought a couple times about like having help and hiring help, and I've been super reluctant. I just keep stretching myself because I'm like, but I just like it this way, and I like it done this way. Yep. I know it's necessary eventually, but I feel you on that. I'm definitely in that same boat.
Yes.
So least favorite part of reselling. So we just talked about employees and help. I think it's a good bridge into, so of all the tasks, you just talked about listings, but of all the tasks you have to do, if you could outsource it tomorrow, what would the task be?
Honestly, probably creating the listing if I was able to give up that control.
Okay.
If I could find somebody who would just list for me and I could source all day, that would be ideal.
I gotcha. Okay, so yeah, you love the thrift, you love the sourcing part of it. So
right.
When you say the listing though, does that mean photos too, or just like literally drafting the description and setting it live?
No, I like to be in charge of the pictures too. So
okay.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to do my own pictures.
Very cool. So and I've reflected on that a little bit myself, this question, and it's changed month to month and quarter to quarter. I agree with you. That would be the part I'd want to outsource if I could, but it's also, to me, it's like the hardest one. Like if I had to train someone to do that, I think it's way easier to train pictures for me than it would be that. But yeah, I agree with you totally. I can't stand doing listings because I'm just sitting still. I don't know. Yeah. But that's how you make the money. So you don't really have a choice.
Right. Yes.
Very cool. All right, so let's talk about sourcing. So you have all these different platforms. So what are your favorite, or what are your primary methods of sourcing? Let's go that route first.
Well, definitely garage sales. I enjoy waking up early on Friday and Saturday mornings and getting out there and discovering all the treasures to be found. And then it would have to be Goodwills. Goodwills are really heavy in the area where I live. So those would be my two favorite places to shop for sure.
And geographically, garage sales, since you're in Texas, they're all year round, right? So no shortage of garage sales?
No shortage. It is all year, and it is awesome.
That's great. That's awesome. So best garage sale find in the last month. Let's just throw it out there. What's the best thing you found in the last month?
Oh gosh, you didn't prepare me for this. I'm awful.
I know. Well, I got to give you a couple wild cards. I mean, my goodness.
Best find. I don't know. I've got this little DS. I still haven't listed this. It's like a midnight purple one, and I've done the research already. I think I can get about 100 for it, and I paid $5 for it at a garage sale.
Sounds like you negotiated well on that. Jeepers. Very nice. Now, do you negotiate a lot? That was kind of my next question on the garage sale. So how do you do that? Are you big in bartering, or do you just offer firm price, you're done? Like how do you approach that?
Well, it really just kind of depends on who's having the sale. If I see a sign and it's a benefit and they're raising money for somebody who's sick or something, I will usually probably just go ahead and pay full price. But you know, I will definitely, I'm up to negotiating. I like to make piles and then just ask how much for everything.
That's great. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I mean, there are a lot of fundraising, like thrift sales and things like that, and I think that's awesome that you recognize that and have a filter for it, because I mean,
definitely
you're helping out the cause, and it's one of those things where I'm assuming you're just like, I can pass. I don't need to negotiate. I can just pass if the price isn't there. So
yes,
that's cool. And the bundle idea. So the bundle idea works well for you, because I don't do a lot of garage sales. So I like to hear, like, I talked to Chris quite a bit about his strategies, but like, so you bundle and you just basically say, go ahead, you describe how you do it basically.
If there's not too many people around. Now, if it's first thing in the morning, I'm like grabbing everything and trying to hold it all in my arms. But you know, if it's not too crazy busy, I'll off to the side, make a little pile. And then usually you get a better price for things that way, instead of just asking how much each individual item would cost.
Gotcha. Okay, very cool. That makes sense. I need to get braver and start doing garage sales. I just am so into my routine of Goodwills that I just can't break away. And I know I need to, but it's that comfort zone thing. I'm trying.
Right. I'm really it's trying. Addictive. I mean, you find so many good deals. I mean, well, you have good weekends, you have bad weekends, but.
Yeah. Now, do you just do garage sales on weekends, then Goodwills during the week then? Is that kind of your typical schedule?
Exactly.
I guess that makes sense. And as far as thrift stores, do you have a lot of other mom and pop ones around you besides Goodwills, or is it mainly Goodwills?
Mainly Goodwills. There are like some church-ran thrift stores that I definitely like to frequent, and we have like Salvation Armies in our area, but I don't usually find a whole lot at them, so I don't really go. Yeah, and you know, I just thought of another way I also make money is I also consign stuff locally too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So describe that to me. Right? What are some of the things you like to consign, A, and then B, like, how does the whole process work?
Okay, well, I have this place I've been going to for probably about 10 years now, and it's just little church-ran consignment store / thrift store. And normally it's clothing. I'll bring clothing or like small home decor and shoes and stuff like that, sometimes jewelry. So they don't ask for a whole lot on their items, maybe $10 tops. But, you know, I mean, I can collect a $50, $60 little check from them every month. So that's nice.
Oh, that's really nice. And if it's nearby, too, it's not very inconvenient, right? Just to drop off
right.
and pick up.
Yeah, that's it's not far at all.
That's awesome. Neat. I had no idea. So add that to your another revenue stream you have, and the things you're balancing, just even more impressive. Very cool. All right. So as far as like a week for you, so describe for me, since you're balancing all these platforms, like just a rough idea, what does your weekly schedule look like for you? Balancing family, balancing the different platforms, sourcing, like how describe that for me.
Okay. Well, I would be very honest. Some weeks I just don't get a whole lot done.
that's fair. That's fair.
Especially now that the kids are home for summer, I'm, their personal chauffeur, and they have play dates and things that they're doing. So I'll start doing something, and then my son's like, "Mom, can you run me over to my friend's house?" So I'm just really have to be flexible during the summertime and just kind of try and fit in, listing or pricing stuff wherever I can.
So would you say the flexibility of your businesses works really well then, it sounds like? I mean, just from listening to you, it sounds like it fits very well into your lifestyle. So that's awesome.
Definitely, it works for me.
That's great. And that's one of the things I've always liked about reselling. I used to garage sell back in college. It's kind of always followed it, but because you always can find ways to fit it in around whatever you have going on, which is just, I don't know.
Yes.
My favorite things. All right, so let's kind of switch gears here. I want to talk about merch. We haven't really touched on that at all. Now, how long have you been doing merch for? When did you sign up?
I signed up probably around September of 2015.
Right at the beginning.
The Green Room had Chris Green on their show, and that's the first time I had heard about it, and I signed up straight away.
Awesome. So how much, if you had to break down your effort on the different platforms, how much time do you spend on merch versus the rest right now? And you can even describe it in the past too, if you want.
Probably not a whole lot right now. I probably only have about 95 active shirts. I can upload up to 500 right now, but and it's super easy to make the shirts. It's just actually sitting down and putting the time in.
Right.
But I think it's a great way to have passive income. I mean, once you do it, and if you sell one and it does well, I mean, it's a great source of income. Really easy money.
That's awesome. So do you have, what are your plans for that platform moving forward? Like, are you planning to put more effort in when the kids are back in school? Like, what is kind of the outlook for you with that platform?
Definitely. I feel like once the kids go back to school here in about a month, I'd like to really get on a strict time management schedule, like, 1 hour working on merch, maybe the next hour I'll spend some time taking pictures, just try and create a schedule for myself and really try and stick to that so I can meet some goals.
That's awesome. That's great. I'm going to pause for a quick second here. We have almost 75 people watching live. I really appreciate everyone stopping in, showing Tanya some love. She's got a lot of great information to share with us on a lot of platforms I never talk about. So I really appreciate it. If you guys hit that like button for us, let us know we're doing a good job. We'd appreciate it. And we're just going to keep on rolling here. We'll take Q&A. We're probably going to I got quite a few questions for us. So hopefully another 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll take some Q&A at the end. But I'm going to transition because I think you just described to me something that I like to talk about, and that's efficiency with the time that you spend your business. Like, everyone has a limited amount of time that they can devote, whether they're a full-time employee and they're building a business in their spare time, or even if they're full-time reselling, there's only so many hours in the day that you can devote to it. So do you find you're more efficient if you rotate between working on your businesses, so each individual platform, to keep it fresh? Or do you like to just, like, one day I'm going to focus on this and one day I'm going to focus on this? Like, what have you found works best for you?
I have a short attention span and I get bored pretty quick. So I like to be changing things up pretty regularly. So like I said, I'm not the type of person who's going to take the whole day and just work on only eBay. For me right now, that's just not how I like to do things. I have to have my hand in everything every day.
I can understand. That's, I mean, especially for having all those things that you're juggling, it makes sense that you want to kind of stay engaged with all of them. And I don't know, like, I'm in the same boat as you kind of. I mean, I am a little more narrowly focused, but I'm passionate about it. And so it sounds like you're passionate about each of them in a different way. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah.
So like being able to touch each of them keeps you excited and moving. So that makes a lot of sense. Now, do you, like, what increment of time? Like, I heard you describe hours. Do you like to do 60 minutes with one and rotate, or do you have like a set up time that's kind of like your sweet spot and works best for you, or how does that work for you?
I feel like an hour is good for me. I will literally go to the microwave and set the timer for 60 minutes. And I'll be like, okay, when this 60 minutes is up, it's time to, go clean the house for another 30 minutes or something. So when I'm on a routine, I definitely like to keep that schedule going like that.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm the same way. I feel like it, usually between 60 and 75 minutes, I notice a definite decline. And I notice on the weekends more because I'll try to, like, pound out 30 or 40 listings in a day. And I usually get like halfway through and I just hit this wall. I'm like a zombie. I'm like,
yeah, I would too. 30 or 40 listings. That's amazing.
I got to go run. I got to go do something to
get out of the house.
Yeah. So I agree with you. That's why the mornings are so great for me, because it's like I'm up, I do my show, quick 5-minute show, and then I've got like 2 hours basically to work. And 1 hour of that is usually photo and prep, and then the other hour is listing, and then I'm off to work. And so it's just like that perfect amount to just not get burnt out, I guess.
Yes.
It's good. Seems to be a common theme, so that's cool. So what's the size of your inventory? Like, I mean, of your physical inventory, like how many items across platforms, let's say excluding merch, or merch by Amazon, I'm saying, excluding those like t-shirt listings, how many items total do you have in your full business, do you think?
Well, I never thought about it like that. Like, well, for eBay, I think I have about maybe 300, 350 or so items. And I've really never gotten pretty much over 400. I usually just stay below 400. That seems to be a good working number for me. I've tried to build my inventory higher, but things sell, and then, I quit listing for a little bit. Yeah. So I don't know if I could manage too much more than that right now. on my own.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm always curious of, you know, what people are doing, and because you're managing such different inventory too, like a wide spread, it just makes you curious.
Right.
Really cool. So do you have like a targeted like sell price that you go for? I know this is like, or do you just pretty much anything I can make a profit on, or, you know, how do you view that? What's your kind of sourcing strategy with that?
Well, I like to ask for a lot of money. So, you know, it just depends really on where I'm going to sell it. If I'm going to sell it in the antique booth, I'm okay only making $10 profit, right? Because it's those, the small items that I'm selling in my antique booth are what's going to pay my rent. So for the antique booth, I would say, you know, usually maybe $10 or more. For eBay, I like to try to stick around 15 to 20 for profit.
That makes sense. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's an excellent profit goal. If you're making that per item on eBay, I mean you're doing something right. That's great. Yeah, that's been a struggle of mine. I have a target, but it's like with clothing, it can be so up and down, and I've been trying to figure it out. I talk to a lot of sellers all the time. I just try to get their feedback, because it's like what works for one person in one niche doesn't work for the other person in a different niche, and there's just a lot of diversity to that sell price. So it's good that, you know, kind of hone in on what you like to do.
Right, and that could change from month to month. It's just, you know, what you're into and what you're selling.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have a routine for shipping? So we talk about sell-through there. You just kind of touched on sometimes things sell too fast to build your inventory. So how do you handle shipping? Like, what is your handling time that you offer to your buyers? I mean, you're juggling family, all these platforms. You know, what is your handling time?
Right. Well, for a while there, I did have it at 3 days. And then I decided to move it. I think I'm back to 2 days now, just because I don't want to put myself at risk. What is it? If you're longer than 3 days, you can't be top rated seller or something like that. I can't remember.
Sound bad, but I honestly don't know, because I'm not a top rated seller. So
yeah.
I'm not sure, but that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, I think I've lost mine recently too, because I just can't seem to get that stuff shipped in time. I don't know. It's like I have all day to do it, but I just get busy. So.
Yeah. So is that, I guess that's just kind of as a follow-up question. So do you have a set time you ship every day, or, I mean, what is the hard part for you in the shipping? You know, side of the world?
I don't really sell. I mean, I'm not moving a ton of stuff in my eBay store, nor my Etsy store. Like I said, I guess I'm really considered part-time. Mm-hmm. So it's not a big deal for me. And I usually like to do my shipping first thing in the morning. That way I can run by the post office, and I also stop by Goodwill, because there's one right there by the post office. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, I'm really happy that you brought up your handling time. So I feel like so many times people, you know, the resellers, and I know this is a generalization, I try to stay away from those, but a lot of people are worried that if they don't offer 1 day handling time, I can't compete. My listings aren't seen by everyone, and it's like, you're having a lot of success. I mean, you're doing well. You've been reselling for a long time, and you don't have 1 day. And do you think that's because of the niche you're selling in, the type of items, or do you think it's just because it doesn't matter as much? And I'm generally just curious, like, what your thoughts are on that.
Maybe the niche. I mean, if you're selling a good item, an item that people want, they're going to buy it, right? No matter what your shipping, your handling time is. As a matter of fact, that pillow that I sold for a lot of money, I sold it like, I think it was the night before we were going to be leaving to go to Austin. And so I messaged the lady. I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, I'm about to go out of town. I won't be able to ship your item until Monday. And she was so okay with that. She was really nice. I was so thankful that she was understanding, and it all worked out.
That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, I mean, so it sounds like it's kind of niche driven. And by the way, I need to step my pillow game up apparently, because I know nothing about pillows. So that was great.
Yeah.
That was a nice way to start off your Austin trip, right?
It was.
So there's a question here in the chat I just happened to catch, and I'm going to take the rest at the end, but I thought this kind of flows very nicely, because I wanted to transition and talk about your antique booth. And so the question was in the chat, so what are the basic kind of like money that flows through for your antique booth? What are the costs? Like, kind of describe for us how it works, how long you've been doing it, and kind of your feedback. You can give me kind of the whole rundown.
Okay. Well, I've been doing it for a couple years now. The items that I buy for my antique booth, I usually pick up at garage sales for really, really inexpensive. And like I said, the markup is, you know, a minimum of $10. What was the question again?
So basically, I just want, so how much, I'll just go, how much does it cost to have your antique booth? So what is the rent?
Okay, so I only pay $90 a month. It's really inexpensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many square feet do you get, or approximately?
You know, it's really about the same size as my storage unit. I would say like 5 by 10. It's a narrow little space.
Okay. Yeah. And so I've never ever been to an antique booth. So describe to me how it works. I walk in there, I want to buy something from your booth. You're not there. How does this work? Like, how does this whole deal work?
Okay, well, you pick up the item that you want to get, and whatever, you know, you go check out. The mall takes 10%, and then the rest is mine, plus the rent.
They basically put like a register or personnel by the door, basically. So like they go through all the stalls, they go check out somewhere. Is that kind of how it works, or?
Yeah, and so each item that they have, like I have this Stein right here, say it would say like booth 1912, and they might have an inventory number, and I guess, you know, that's how the mall keeps track of who's selling what and who to pay.
I gotcha. And so they just keep a tab for you, and you get paid monthly? Is that how that works?
Yes, exactly.
And do they take the rent out of it first, or do you have to turn around and pay them? Like, how do they at least make it easy for you, or?
Oh yeah, because a lot of times I might not get up there when rent's due, so they will just go ahead and take it out for me, or if I can't make it, I'll call them and they'll take it out. And it works out well. So at the first of the month, I pay my rent, and then they cut me a check for what I've earned, and it's a good system. I like it.
So, and so the items you sell there, are they like, I'm trying to think of the situations where I'd want to sell the antique booth versus the other platforms.
Okay, so, I'll tell you. Breakables, right?
Okay.
And
so stuff you don't want to ship.
Stuff you don't want to ship, yes. And, you know, maybe some furniture pieces, but definitely the breakables for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't even thought about that. Like, I've heard Chris Bonafide House talk about having his, and I've just never really put any thought into it. And it's like, that makes a lot of sense. You see a lot of things that you probably pass. Like, I pass up things all the time. I'm like, I don't want to deal with boxing that and shipping that. Like, I don't. But you know, there's money in it, and so for you, it's like you just scoop it up, and probably it's the garage sale for $1 or 50 cents. And
yeah, to me, it's crazy not to have an antique booth, right? Because I'm going to all these garage sales and all these thrift stores, and I'm seeing all this stuff all the time anyway. So I might as well, you know, have one.
So best month ever in the antique booth, if you don't mind me asking. Have you had like a home run banner month, or is it just kind of a steady flow?
It's been pretty steady. I want to say I did really good last December, I think, around Christmas time. A few times a year, the mall will run sales, and you let them know what percentage you want to give off of everything in your booth. And so, like, for example, right now, here in July, I'm doing a 40% off sale, everything in the booth. And so we just went over there Sunday, and my printout is like almost the whole page full of stuff that's sold. It's so awesome. I'm so excited. So I'm happy to be blowing a lot of the old stuff out, and I'm hoping to bring a bunch of new stuff in come August, the 1st of August.
Very cool. That's awesome. Very neat. I'm gonna have to go find a local antique booth that I can find here. I just want to walk in and I want to test it.
Yes, I can't believe you've never been.
I've never been. I'm missing out. A huge chunk of my life is missing now. I need to go fulfill this.
Yes, you do.
Very awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. All right, so we've covered a lot of the individual like platform topics. We've talked about storing inventory. So you obviously dabble in a ton of niches, but what is one niche that you haven't that you might be interested in moving into in the future, or one that you're curious to learn about that maybe you haven't sold in?
well,
it's tough because you're expert on so many things. I know it's very tough.
Please stop it.
Wealth of information. So I know.
Like I said, I'm just now getting a little bit into OfferUp. I have some friends, Steve and Steph of the Resell Killers, and they're really big into OfferUp, and so they've kind of inspired me to want to go and check it out. So I've actually had a sale through OfferUp already, and it's exciting. The only downside to that is being a lady and having to meet people places. I just feel like that's a little shady. You know, same deal like with Craigslist and stuff like that.
So yeah, let's kind of dive into that a little more. So I haven't personally sold on these platforms, and I'm a guy, and so I deal with salespeople all day long at work. Like that's my job. I support salespeople in finance function, and so like the last thing I want to do is deal with more people. That's why I like eBay, because I can just be like, here's your product, I don't have to talk to you. So
Right.
So how does your first sale go, and will you continue? Like you seem hesitant about it. Was it kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe for the bigger items that maybe aren't moving in my antique booth, I might try and move that as a last resort on OfferUp. But yeah, the first sale, actually, they came to my house and it was a porch pickup.
Okay.
Well, because there's also this group on Facebook. It's called Garage Sale, like with a V, and it's like a mommy market. And I've sold a lot of stuff on there. And the typical way I handle transactions through that site is porch pickup only.
Yep.
It's just a lot easier to handle it that way. Sometimes you might go to meet somebody and they're like 30 minutes late, or they don't even show up at all. For me, I've just found that porch pickup really works well. Like they come get their item and leave money under my doormat. And it's just great.
Yeah, no, and I'm familiar with that. So we have a local, I mean, it seems like those local Facebook groups are pretty well known in their own communities. And we have one, and we moved in the townhouse. We bought probably 80% of our furniture and furnished the place off of a similar group. So we have
wow, that's awesome.
Pickups. We're driving around in my little CRV trying to pick up stuff and load it back. So yeah, very, very familiar with that.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's cool. So maybe you send your husband in the future. Just you make big sales, you send him here, go collect my money for me, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's a great idea.
Fair enough. Well, that's cool. I appreciate people who are brave to try different things, and I mean I think that was why when we first started talking, I just was so impressed, like all the platforms that you've taken the time to learn. I mean, it's one thing to do, like it's one thing to sell online. It's another thing to learn a platform. But to learn the nuances of so many platforms is just incredible to me. I mean, it took me so long to get comfortable with eBay, and I still feel like there's so many pieces of eBay I don't even understand or utilize. And you're on like 5 different platforms.
I've had a little bit of time, Luke.
yeah, but still, just being able to maneuver and do that. I mean, and to like, I think about merch for you, right? Like merch came out, you jumped right on it. Like you didn't hesitate. You just like, I'm getting in, I'm signing up.
Right.
And, stuff like it's very, very cool. It's awesome. All right, so I want to hear, and this is like my favorite question to ask everyone. So I talked to other resellers, it's like my absolute favorite. So how do you define success for your business?
If I have money in my PayPal account? No, I'm just kidding.
So that's a valid transactional answer. I'm not gonna let you hook that either. We're a little deeper.
I guess it would be if my death piles are getting lower and I can see the floor.
That's fair. That's fair. I like that. I like that. So and the reason I asked, I'm very big on not comparing yourself, like having your own definition of success within your business.
Right.
Especially in like, we have such an awesome reseller community and everyone's at different levels. And it's amazing how people are so willing to share and help each other. And so I'm always curious when people are going through their journey, like what is my definition of success? What level am I trying to get to? Because I thrive off of like progress and growth makes me happy. Like that.
Yes.
And that's why I get very goal oriented. But so it's always curious because everyone likes reselling for a different reason. And everyone likes thrifting and garage selling for different reasons. The treasure hunt aspect of it, I love. Things like that. So it's cool. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, and it's important too, like for me to set short-term and long-term goals as well. Like I said, I've been a little lax on that with summertime being here, but I'm going to hit hard again once the kids get back in school, definitely.
That makes sense. Do you have any that come to mind you want to share with us?
Well, I run these challenges sometime like on my personal, not my personal, but my reseller Facebook about like getting, say, 10 items listed before bedtime or sometimes more than that. So yeah, and I mean, long-term goals would be, of course, continuing to save. Ultimately, I would love to have a second home on the beach. So that's my end game.
That's awesome. So that's what I'm trying to get to here. So that's the ultimate motivation, right? That makes a lot of sense.
Definitely. And vacations too. I would love to travel more. So, and the kids are going to be in college soon.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You got quite a few things coming up. Shannon would relate to a lot. She has said over and over, she's like, when you have enough, or if it's big enough, I want a place on the beach. It's like, I want a place on the beach.
Oh, so we relate to each other. Yes.
Very much so. Very much so. That's awesome. Very cool. All right. So I want to give another shout out here. We're at the 40-minute mark of the show. We got 73 watching live. Hit that like button if you haven't. If you haven't subscribed to Tanya's channel, Thrifty Treasures, by this time on the show, you need to stop what you're doing and go subscribe to it. I've also included, you heard her reference, her Facebook group and a couple other different social media links below to her. Definitely check them out, throw her some support, see what she's up to. I'm sure there's a lot of value to be had there. I know I found a lot of value starting to watch as I look to grow my niches and things I'm looking at. I've been watching a lot of her content because it's stuff I've never dealt with, and there's just a lot of expertise to be learned there. And so I just encourage
thank
everyone.
you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm a big proponent of following tons of different people in the reselling community because, you know, you're going to get value, and you're going to get value from figuring out what works for them, what doesn't work for them, the mistakes they've made. And I mean, it's way cheaper to learn from someone else's mistake than to make your own and have to learn from it. There's no doubt about that. And so I love the content you're bringing. When you post those things on Instagram and Facebook with the sales, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong business. I'm in the wrong business. Selling my $18 shirts is the wrong business. Very cool. Let's switch gears here a little bit. I'm going to ask my kind of wrap up question here, and then we'll jump into Q&A. If you could give advice to someone who's just beginning to resell, or they're interested in starting, what would it be? What would be the one nugget information you would give them?
Stop hesitating. Just do it. You know, I mean, so many people are so concerned about how I'm going to list on eBay, how I'm going to list on Etsy. Just get your feet wet and just try it. If you make a mistake, it's not going to be the end of the world. I mean, everyone makes mistakes when they first start out. I would say, you know, just find some items around the house and start small. Just try it. And also, I would have to say to have to be organized, right? To have some kind of a system right from the get-go, because it can accumulate and build really fast. And before you know it, you're not finding items that have sold, and it's not a good thing.
I think those are two fantastic pieces of advice to anyone watching. I mean, yeah, it kind of both resonate with me really well. I couldn't back those more. I mean, just starting is so huge. A lot of people get frozen in that paralysis of just, well, I gotta know everything.
Yeah.
Gotta know all the. You don't just start.
Paralysis by analysis, or
yep, absolutely. And the inventory tip is huge too, because you don't think about it until it's too late. Like that's what always happens when you just start. You don't think about it until it's too late, and then it's like a ton of work to back out of it. So,
right.
Those are awesome tips. Let's jump over to chat here and see what we have. If you see questions, honey, feel free to grab them, and I'll grab them as well as I see them. And now's the time, guys. Drop them in the chat. Just make sure you put question in front or something to let us know you're asking.
I noticed that Chris 10K on the base said he joined my taco group. So I am obsessed with tacos. They're like my favorite food. So yes, I do have a taco group on Facebook. Y'all come join it.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm a big taco fan as well. I will have to join that after here. I'm ashamed that I haven't looked at that yet. So Chris, thank you for shouting that out. There's actually a question I want to grab right now because I meant to ask it and I'm kind of sad that I forgot. So okay. Chris McNally is asking, how do you avoid selling something twice if you cross-post it? And I meant to come back to this because you touched on it. Okay. Briefly. So this is all you.
Okay. Well, on my phone, I have all the apps, you know, Amazon, eBay, and Etsy. And so if I have a sale on eBay and that same item is posted on Amazon or Etsy, then I'll just go directly to that app, open it up, find my inventory real quick, and just end the item. It's something you got to do right away, though. And it's just a habit, another habit that you build. And so if I have a sale, I just definitely go check the other ones and make sure it's not listed there too.
So now I have a couple follow-up questions to that. So do you have any type of way you like notate in your title or anything that says it's cross-posted somewhere else? Like, do you have an identifier, or you just you know your inventory so well you know that if it's cross-posted?
Well, if the title has the word vintage in it, chances are it's also listed on Etsy. So that's a flag for me right there. But really, you know, at the moment, my inventory is pretty small. I kind of know. So pretty much all of my jewelry is cross-posted on Etsy and eBay. A lot of the books that I sell are cross-posted on eBay and Amazon. Some of the vintage books are also on Etsy as well.
Okay, that makes sense. So have you ever had the unfortunate blunder of an item selling twice?
No, I haven't.
That's awesome.
No.
You're a rock star there. That's great. I'm reluctant to give myself confidence that I would keep it straight, so I'm impressed.
Oh, you could do it.
I'm impressed. Thrifty Marcy just gave us a nice shout. She said, "You two are my favorite two are resellers. You all help keep me motivated." Well, I appreciate that very much.
Yay! Thank you.
I'll tell you what. I always say this every show. Like, you guys motivate us too. I mean, the accountability we get and the knowledge you guys share is very helpful. So we
definitely.
No TV said, if I were to stop doing eBay and had about 1,000 items, what should I do with them? What would you do? Well, I'm going to throw that at you, and then I'll take a stab at it if you don't want it.
Okay, so if they were to stop selling on eBay and they had 1,000 items, what would I do?
Yeah, that's what it's sounding like. Basically, like if they're trying to liquidate their inventory, how would you move it?
I would have a garage sale. I would just blow it out really fast in one day.
Yeah, I would do that, and or if I thought that I handpicked a bunch of good stuff, I may market it to local reseller groups and see if anyone wants to stock my inventory. But I think, like you said, I think you'd get a higher price at garage sales, just because the resellers are going to know how to price it, and they're basically not going to want to pay up for it.
Right.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Hopefully, you're not getting out of eBay, but if you are, those are two approaches you could take. Joshua asked me, have you ever seen Polo Country Ralph Lauren shirts? I found one while thrifty and just wondered if you had experience. I have not found one, but any of the one-off Polo stuff usually sells really well.
I noticed that Chris asked if I had children earlier. Of course, I want to brag about my babies.
Yes, platform is yours. Please tell them. I guess I forgot to ask because I got to hear about it before, so I was privileged. So why don't you let them know?
Okay, so I have a 14-year-old son, and he's actually about to start high school. He's going into the 9th grade. So I can't believe my baby's going to be in high school. That is a big pill to swallow.
That's awesome.
And then I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she keeps me really busy too. I was telling Luke earlier, she just started some horse riding classes today, and she really likes that. So we're really proud of them both.
That's awesome. Yeah, very, very cool. I mean, and that just adds to the level of impressiveness of you juggling all these things around growing family, a wonderful family. So that's fantastic. I'm sure they'll be appreciative when you bring them to the beach as you keep racking.
Right.
They'll be very appreciative for the vacation.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. It's exciting. Hopefully I'll get to meet them in the future. It was
yeah,
nice
definitely. Yeah, it was great to meet you too.
Let's see. We've got, how often do you bring your listed inventory to your storage unit? And do you do like a schedule once a week, or just when listed piles gets too big? I don't know. That's all you.
I mean, really just once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on what I sell. So if I sold something, I have to run up there and get something. And then, I might throw some stuff that I have listed and take that up there too and drop it off. So a little switcheroo once or twice a week. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I pretty much, mine's a little different just because I'll fill a bin with prepped inventory, and when the bin gets full, just the next morning I put it in my car, and when I go at lunch to pick up whatever sold, I just drop that bin off. So
You're
it's
so organized.
More just like a routine or a schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't always used to be. I made a few too many mistakes and forced myself to get organized. So.
That's because you're good friends with Jason, Prof Sales. He's like the most organized person I know.
Yes, absolutely. He gave a great talk in Austin on inventory management.
He did. I really enjoyed that.
We got a lot of questions here. So someone followed up on the cross post and said, what happens if it sells while you're sleeping?
As soon as I wake up, I know you guys probably do this too. I grab my phone to see my notifications, what's been happening. And that would be the first thing I would do, is go into end it wherever it was also listed.
Gotcha. I see Brandon said you sent me this. I'll check my Instagram messages. I usually check them before bed, so I'll try to get back to you, Brandon. Sorry if I haven't yet. I try to be good about getting back to people. No TV said, have you ever heard of selling your whole eBay store? That's an interesting question. I'm guessing he's asking is like selling the account.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of that?
It seems like I've heard of it. I've never known anyone that's personally done it. Like I'm familiar with other resellers liquidating their inventory to other resellers, but never like with the account name, right? Is that what they mean?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Because I'm not sure, and I don't know. I just don't know the answer to this. I'm just completely hypothesizing right now. I'm sure there's some core account information that you can't change, and it's probably unique to the individual, which would make it difficult to sell the account that way. I'm not positive about that. I'm assuming they're asking because they want to preserve the listings that are already active and all the work that was done. And so you're basically kind of turnkey in a business to someone. That's a really good question. I don't know the answer, but I'm going to do some research on it because I'm actually really curious now. If anyone in the chat knows, drop it in there because that's a really good question.
Yeah, that would be hard. Like I would never ever sell my account to anybody. It's been too many years to build it up to where it's at, right?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I just have more of like a territorial thing over my business, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if the need came up, that's interesting. If you're just ready to be done with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely.
I see Bob Weiss in the chat. It was great to meet you too, Bob. We got to meet Bob in Austin. We had a great time sourcing. He crushed it with shoes while we were in Austin. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Bob is awesome. It's so nice to meet him.
He had to buy a brand new suitcase, a thrifted suitcase, I remember just to get all the stuff back.
Well, didn't you too?
Dude, mine was small though. He bought like the size of me. It was crazy. Let's see what we got. A question from Flipping Awesome. What is your best method of success for finding tags to list your items on Etsy? I also love vintage clothing and have seriously considered selling through Etsy. That's a great question. Go right ahead.
So you mean like tags as far as when I'm creating the listing? Is that what they mean?
I think so. Like keywords, it sounds like keywords and tagging and titles and stuff.
You know, I'll be very honest. When I'm listing on Etsy, I don't get caught up in every single specific thing that they're asking. I mean, I will definitely include some tags, you know, like some keywords. Tags might be like some of the keywords I use to describe the item. But as far as going into all the details, I mean, there's so many, they give you so many options whenever you're making your listing, and I don't always fill them, all of them. And I know you probably should for better visibility, but I do okay over on Etsy as is, and I'm not crazy into all the specifics like that.
No, that makes sense. Especially if you're cross-posting too, I'm sure there's a level where it doesn't benefit you to spend that extra time, I'm sure.
Yeah, no.
There's an off-topic question for you from Thrifty Nickel, asking if you're related to a horse trainer. There's one they know with the same last name.
No, I am not. And it's so funny because what's that show called Storage Unit? There's a guy on there named Daryl Sheets. I'm not related to him either.
Glad we can clear the air on that. That's good. Let's see. If you see questions, grab. I'm still trying to catch up here. See, Trisha just asked, when you source, what's the process to inventory, research items, photograph, and list?
What was that again?
So basically they want to know, like, once we source, like we buy an item, what's our end-to-end process once you buy that item? Like, what do you research it, inventory it, photograph, list it? Like, what order do you do that in, kind of thing? I think that's what they're asking. It's like to describe the process. I'm
glad you asked that because I was thinking about this and I was thinking, and I know you're not supposed to compare yourself to other people, but I feel like other people list a lot faster than I do. I feel like I spend a lot of time researching, but also by doing so, I feel like with certain items, I can also ask a lot more. Going back to the pillow again, I did a lot of research on that. I saw that there was none available like the one that I had. I knew what they were going for. I even looked on other sites. So, you know, you can spend a lot of time doing research, definitely. But the process, so yeah, research, pictures, listing.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I think that's a great point you brought up, though. Like, well, first of all, like, I think it's great to follow other people's processes and adapt things that work well for other people. I just don't think we should benchmark our success off of other people. But at the same token, like, you bring up a really good point. You're selling, like, that pillow was probably, I mean, it sold for 10x what I normally get sell an item for.
Right.
For you to spend a little extra time and list fewer items to get that return is so worth it. Like, the ROI on that decision is great. So I think you know, it depends on what you're selling. Like, for me, like, that end-to-end process, I go to the Goodwill, I buy 20, 30 items. They're all similar items. I sort them into piles. I take pictures in like piles. I do measurements and drafts in like piles, and then I set them live on my phone while I'm at work. So it's like
those like piles, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for me, I can batch stuff, so it helps. But you have a lot of one-off stuff, and you know, you're getting a higher asking price though. So I think it all, I mean, it's what works for you.
Oh, somebody's bringing up some flip-flops in the chat, Julie. So I had bought these flip-flops also, where, oh gosh, now I'm gonna draw a blank where I even bought them. Oh, I bought them at Goodwill, I think. They were like 99 cents. And for some reason, you know, sometimes I'll do auctions, sometimes I'll do it buy it now, just depending on what my research reveals. And I did the flip-flops at $1, or I started them at like $9.99, and they went up to like $111, and they were like no brand. And they were just like some funky flip-flops from the 70s. It was crazy.
You just never know what's going to sell for it.
You never know.
That's great. So there's an interesting, I've touched on this a little bit at a different show, but so Brandon just said Bolo Wrangler flame resistant jeans, found 2 pair today, used to research. So I'm just going to give a little feedback here on flame resistant, and this is just something to think about. It's not an absolute, I'm not telling you what to do, but just be very careful with things that deal with safety. And I know that with flame resistant stuff, I didn't know this until a viewer shared it, and I did a little research on it, is they only have so many washes in them, and the washes actually deteriorate the effectiveness of it, apparently.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, normally stuff we sell on eBay, there's very little liability from like that perspective, but that could be one of the areas you might just want to be a little careful with. You know, just do your research. I'm not saying you shouldn't sell them, but I just always encourage people to do a lot of research when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I just learned something. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I picked up a Carhartt flame resistant shirt, and a viewer said it to me, and then I went and researched it after, and I was like, yeah, like that's a pretty valid point. Yeah, I never thought about that. And those are new with tags, so that's great, Brandon. That's awesome. We'll see, you did it right then. You got them new. Lad Miller just gave a super chat for $2. I really appreciate the support. Thank you for throwing that our way. Hopefully you've enjoyed the content. We appreciate you showing some support to us here. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Maggie said, do you guys prefer smaller daily hauls or larger quantity purchases, bins, half price days, etc.?
Gosh, I would have to go with smaller. I mean, I get overwhelmed easily.
Yeah. That makes it, well, and you're, you know, with your schedule and the kids going in every direction, those smaller ones are probably huge for you, right? Stopping in between and grabbing things here and there.
Yeah, definitely.
See, and I'm almost in the exact opposite situation where I would prefer a couple big hauls each week and then spend the rest of my odd hours when stores aren't open, prepping, listing, things like that. So like I try to go to a thrift store once a week or during lunchtime, and then I try to get to one after work once a week, and then the weekend I just try to hit it hard. So that's an interesting question though. All right, we'll take maybe one more question, guys. It is 7:58. Everyone knows I like to go to bed very early. Shannon's gonna be home soon, and I'm sure Tanya has lots of stuff to do tonight. I'm just gonna thank her again for stopping on the show and giving kind of her wisdom. And she's been selling for so long. It's so nice to share all these different platforms and what you've done and been successful with. I really, really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, go do it one last time. Please go subscribe. We got 85 watching live right now. We got 50 likes on this video. We appreciate the love. And I'm going to grab this last question here. It says, what's the best way to not get charged for insertion fees? I'm going to throw this to you.
The best way to not get charged for insertion fees, I guess, participate in the, oh gosh, my mind's going to draw a blank now. What is it called that eBay does?
Well,
their promotions.
They do promotions and store subscriptions. Yeah, those would be the two things I would think of.
Right.
Yeah, and store subscriptions, you'll get fixed price free insertion fees, and you'll get auction ones depending on your store subscription. So definitely balance those out. And it looks like Red Neckerson's Resellers just gave a $2 super chat. Really appreciate that. Thank you for
that's awesome. That's Nathan. Thanks, Nathan.
Oh, thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it. All right. It sounds like people are going to subscribe right now to your channel, so I appreciate that, guys.
Yay, thank you.
Thanks for all the questions, guys. Thanks for staying with us through the entire show. I'm going to get finishing shipping and let Tanya get back to her night. Thank you so much for joining, and everyone have an awesome night.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. See you guys.